Okay, so I think we'll kick off. We good to go, Brittany?
Yeah. Yep, we're live on YouTube as well.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the group conversation for the People team. My name is Carol Teskey. I joined recently as Director of People Ops based out of Ireland. And today we are going to try the new format for the group conversations. And for anyone who hasn't seen what that is, Sid has done an update on the handbook and there's a YouTube video as well. But essentially it's where we're going to spend the time answering questions as opposed to going through the slides. So the slides are available to you, they're in the invite and you can feel free to go through them. But we'll spend the meeting going through getting your questions and answering them. So we obviously have Brittany on the line, Barbie, Kevin, and a lot of the rest of the People team are joining as well. So we are happy to answer and get through as many questions as you have. With that said, I will stop talking now and see what the first question is for us. I know you're all getting... Hi.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm from support. I've just been noticing some really great changes like simplifying the bonus, discretionary bonus, creating that internal job board, different things like that. So my question is, where do you get these suggestions from? How do you find out, ideas for improving things internally for us?
Sure, I will give a quick answer on that, or what my understanding is, and I'll hand it over to the team that's here a lot longer than me. But I know the ideas come from varying sources. I know the team themselves we're constantly trying to figure out how we can iterate and optimize and make sure that we're giving employees everything they need. So some of the ideas do get generated internally, but I know all of you in GitLab are great and very generous with your ideas towards us as well, and make great suggestions that sometimes we take on board, where they make sense as well. That's my take in the 5 weeks I've been here, but if there's anyone on the team that wants to add to that, please jump in.
I think that was a great answer, Carol. Yes, we are constantly looking for ways to improve things. A lot of those come from suggestions. The engagement survey, for example, made it very clear that we could do better with recognition and appreciation. And so in looking at, what's stopping that, we simplified the discretionary bonus process to try to remove some of the inhibitors from that source of recognition, as well as ideating about a lot of other ways we can do that. Sometimes it's a matter of scale and trying to figure out how we can, this company's growing fast, and so we have to think about how to make things scale and be more efficient as well. But a lot of it does come, like Carol said, from your suggestions, as well as the engagement survey, as well as the own internal team's ideas, how things can be done.
Yeah, to add to that, the engagement survey showed people want more recognition. So we had Barbie put that on the agenda of the e-group offsite, and we spent time, like, how can we do that? And it's like, why aren't we handing out more bonuses? Well, because it's tedious to do so. Okay, let's fix that. And so we look at the results of the survey and we focus on the things that people say is top of mind.
Great, thank you.
Hi, this is Jim Riley on the public sector team. Looking at slide number 8 on turnover, it seems like a pretty high number for the 0 to 6 months. I'm curious, just what are we seeing as root cause, and what are some of the ideas that we could try to address that?
Sure. So typically within the first 6 months, it's the opportunity for the person to feel if they're the right fit for the role and the company, and vice versa. So a lot of the time when somebody leaves within that period of time, it means that it wasn't the right fit, for lack of a better word. And from what we do is constantly looking at our hiring and our interviewing and making sure that if somebody didn't work out in the first 6 months, we see what were their potential things that we could have seen during the interview period that would have actually made us make a different decision, and learning from that. Kevin, anything to add to that?
No, I think you're right, Carol. And I think the other thing we'll need to look at doing is, really providing a realistic preview to each job, and just making sure that everybody's clear on kind of the company culture. And I think there's more we can do from a recruiting perspective to make sure that we're doing that. Whether it's getting video content into the candidates' hands, having them to go through the process of using our tool, just making sure they're comfortable with what they're seeing, because at the end of the day, they need to know what they're getting into. They're interviewing GitLab just as much as we're interviewing them. So definitely something we're constantly evaluating.
I can add to that. So turnover is kind of almost half of what our threshold is, what the industry standard is. So turnover is very low, but to make it better, indeed, we need that. And I think it would be great if people can write blog posts about their first few months at GitLab. And then not just say the positive, but also say the negative. Like, I was lonely, or onboard first month was super hard to get used to, new way of working. That really helps people to opt in and out to the organization.
Do we have an idea of the reason that make people move on? I assume some of them might be private, but if there's a lot of people that just find it difficult to work remotely, or that this is the way the organization of the work is done, maybe it could help us to action on some thing that make people leave the company.
I think that's absolutely right in terms of understanding the reasons and having and addressing them then. Candidly, I haven't dug into that detail as yet, so I can't give an answer on what it is for those up to this period. Brittany or Barbie would probably have more detail.
Yeah, we do exit surveys when somebody leaves to learn about why that is. And it's a variety of answers there. Our turnover isn't so high that we can really get statistically relevant data on this, but sometimes it is compensation. That would probably be my example, one of the reasons that I'm leaving. And there's also, we get sometimes feedback around the remote work not necessarily being the style that they desired or what they thought it would be. Sometimes it's career opportunity, that they had another opportunity that they thought would be more development for them or bigger title or scope. And then sometimes it's just a bad fit between the team member and the culture and kind of the way that we work here. But it's a variety of reasons, and it always is at every company, and it also is here at GitLab.
I have a question related to slide 11, if I'm correct, the one with plans on top. And when looking at the plans, like, hey, what we're going to do, right, in the next year or in the next quarter, et cetera. And one of them is, for example, the benefits. And I asked this question, I think half a year ago as well. And for example, the benefits says like, hey, we're launching a retirement plan for the US. And I know this is a hard in terms of how you can prioritize things for the product is different than for the company, right? Especially a company like us who's global and has smaller communities all over the world, except from the US. And I still know the answer last time, but I wonder if something has changed or there's a new perspective on it. So how do we plan to be inclusive in terms of benefits, different parts of the world than the US?
I can jump in here. So the issue that we have around retirement planning isn't just focused on the US. So the slide here, and that's on me, I should have updated that to read a little differently, is misleading. So we have looked into and we did a whole review of everywhere where we have current pension plans, whether it's a statutory requirement or whether it's something that we're currently offering, and making sure that we're taking a holistic look at all of the different entities and places where we have either an entity or a payroll provider. And we have looked into and priced the Netherlands as one and Belgium as those places where we don't have any additional monies being added. So I can send you the link or add the link in the slides here in Slack or in the Zoom chat. where you can feel free to comment on that. But we're currently in review. So we are trying to take a very global look at all of our benefits and not be US focused. But if we can do better on that, please give us that feedback. We want that feedback as well.
And Brittany, isn't it accurate to say that the US was not the first country in which we had retirement contributions, and that actually started outside the US?
It did. Actually, the US was the only place where we didn't have any sort of retirement for those where we have an entity. So that's where we looked at that one first, since in some other countries, there's a government-sponsored pension plan. And in the US, we didn't have a specific item there. So we wanted to make sure we took a look first, but we looked at all entities where there wasn't something at the same time from the GitLab side.
There was another related item a few months ago where we were looking at how much directors and above we were hiring globally versus in the US. Is there any news or update on that effort?
Well, we got Carol in Ireland.
Yeah, flying the flag for Europe. Just so I'm up to speed on this, it's looking at the ratio of directors for North America versus the rest of the world, is it?
That's right.
Okay. Barbie, are you able to pop in on that?
I haven't run the numbers prior to this meeting, so I can't give a numbers update. I would say that as we do our headcount planning, we are certainly looking at that headcount a bit more regionally in some groups. There's some groups that it's always hire the best person wherever they are. And there's other groups that are more targeted to specific areas. And we're doing a little bit better now in our recruiting planning to do that. And we're definitely wanting to target areas outside the US, not just Europe, but also in Asia. So we probably will see some growth there, but I don't have a numbers update for you right now.
Cool, thank you. I was not so much interested in the numbers, but just like, the strategy there. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, I think it is, Jason. I agree. I think it is important for us to do that. I think that where your leaders are, a lot of other talent comes from. So the more dispersed our leadership is, the more dispersed our team members will be too. So I think it's a good question.
Hey, this is William in product marketing. I'm seeing that we have very aggressive growth targets over the next years in hiring. And my question is kind of two-part. What are examples of other companies that have successfully gone through a hyper-growth phase and successfully hired at that type of rapid pace? And what were the things that they did to allow them to recruit successfully at that type of rapid pace?
Sure, I can take a stab at this one. I think I don't think there are a lot of companies that have had this type of growth, and so I think we're kind of we're in rare company, I would say. But I also think we have to look at all different options. And so when we look at our first half of hiring, it's really aggressive. And so to say that our current internal team can handle all of that, I don't think is realistic. And so we're looking at kind of agencies, third parties to kind of jump in and help support it. And so there's part of it, which is the hiring piece. And I think we have a pretty good plan in place to account for that. And then there's also just maintaining the culture, the GitLab values as we continue to grow and scale and double in size. That's not an easy thing to do. And so I think it's an effort across the board here. So, but yeah, it's kind of leveraging all different options to make sure that we can hit our hiring targets. I think we have a pretty good plan in place to do that.
Yeah, it's another really good question, Liam. And we've looked at a lot of articles about what can go wrong, and when people do this growth. And so we've talked about what to look out for and what to pay attention to. Not only is it unusual for companies to grow this fast, but I don't know that all remote companies have done it before. So while there's a lot we can learn from the companies who have done it successfully, we still have to translate that into our environment, and it will be different. So if anyone listening to the call has examples of companies that you think have done it well that we could take learnings from, then I think the whole team would be very open to that as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Barbie. One of the things I've noticed transitioning into the company as someone who transitioned like out of an office setting is I've missed like the office gym. And so I'm wondering if we've ever had a discussion around some sort of reimbursement or gym benefit so that, employees can stay healthy and get out of the house. And, I'll also just say that my wife is like, you should probably just join a gym. I'm kind of tired of having you around here all the time. So I was just wondering if there's been any thought or discussion on that in the past.
I'll start with the history, and then Carol can talk about what she sees in the future. Historically, we have had issues open on this, and we have evaluated it. I'm biased, I will admit, and I'm leaving, so my bias will not be as impactful. But I am biased towards everybody having different interests and different things that they want to participate in. For you, it might be a gym membership. For me, it might be golf. For someone else, it might be getting a massage and going to the spa, or going to a chiropractor. I mean, we all have different things that we want to do for our health and for our well-being. And so I've tended to be more biased towards wanting to get movement on the compensation side, so that we have the income in order to do what we like and what interests us, versus selecting for the company things that we think is important for them, and leaving the choice really to the team members to decide what they want to participate in and how they want to spend their income. So I haven't been inclined to do that, partly also because we don't have any concentration that enables us to get better pricing or something of that sort, given how distributed we are. And many companies who do gym memberships, is because there's one next by, if they get 10 team members signing up, then everybody gets a discount, and it's this great thing. That's a little bit harder to administer here at GitLab, but really it comes to believing that everyone is an individual and should make the choices that are best for them.
Yeah, and I guess to give my thoughts on it, I agree on the compensation piece. I think making sure that people have as much as we can for them to live and do their hobbies is the main thing. But also I feel like there's Brittany and I are having a conversation around overall our benefits philosophy, and this probably falls a little bit into it. And like, what do we want to take care of? Like, is it a case we want to take care of healthcare, or people helping them plan for their future, etc.? Like, what would be the baseline as to what we would want to provide? It's very early stages, so no real update other than we are brainstorming and having discussions around it, and we will be looking to get input and understand what's common in the different regions as well, because we need to think about it from a global perspective.
Yeah, thanks for the context. I think it is a pretty common benefit, at least over here in the U.S. And Barbie, I totally understand your point. I think the counterpoint there would be that like wellness and health is not necessarily, I think it's different than many other hobbies. But I think health and wellness can be accomplished in various ways. So maybe it's not something as prescriptive as like $50 towards a gym membership of $50, or totally solutioning here, but something where you might reimburse some other sort of activity that would promote health and wellness. So anyway, just a thought, but thanks for the context and clarification.
We had a question in the slides. Kevin, I think this is regards to the metrics. How does our average days from apply to accept of 55.86 compare with industry averages? Slide 5.
Yeah, so I think it's actually not too far off from industry average from what I've seen. That being said, it's not where we want to be, and we need to be much quicker about it. I think the speed in which people hire nowadays, you have to keep candidates engaged and move them through very, very quickly, just because the competition is so fierce right now. And so I would say it's not too far off average, but it's something that we have to do a lot better with. And that goes from every stage of the process, from reviewing resumes, getting people through the interview process, making offers. Every step just decreasing a little bit will make a huge difference there.
I'm not sure if this is a question, but on the diversity page, one thing I noticed is we list out some of the accomplishments. I'd be curious to know if we have an evaluation of how we feel there with the new format. I love the new format, by the way, but it's tough to tell, like we feel like we're meeting the bar here versus not. Of course, I'm a data guy, so of course a graph always helps, but that's really hard in the diversity case necessarily.
Yeah, it's Steph. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I guess my question is kind of more of, do we feel like we're doing well there, or, like we list off some initiatives, but I'd be curious to know how people else thinks about it.
Yeah, Stephanie, do you want to chime in with any, Stephanie, for those that don't know, she's been working very closely on some of these initiatives. Any initial thoughts you want to share there, Stephanie?
Yeah, so I guess I just need a little bit of clarification as to, are you asking in terms of our sourcing for diverse candidates, or how we're doing in terms of various initiatives?
In terms of initiatives, actually, in theory, the hiring will come with the initiatives, but I think focusing on the initiatives is probably the right place to start.
Yeah, so personally, and maybe I'm biased because I'm the one working on them, but I would say that we're doing as well as we possibly can, considering every program and every initiative that I'm getting us involved in has been without cost. That has been because a lot of companies and a lot of partners require, I've seen from 15K and up to, participate and allow us to participate in partners. So the things that we've been doing are like Million Women Mentors, for instance. They don't require any cost. They're all about providing opportunities for women across the globe. And they brought us on board, and they're marketing our mentorship program. And the feedback has been amazing, excuse me, from the women that I've been engaging with. So right now where we are, I believe we're doing the best that we can. And we have Betsy now, who's going to be doing a lot more of our employment branding and getting, these various initiatives and speaking engagements and things that we're doing to raise awareness towards our diversity initiatives is going to help us tremendously. So I only see it growing from here.
I would just add to that, diversity initiatives are really wonderful, and getting the talent sourced, getting the talent in is great, wonderful for the company, wonderful for us as individuals. It doesn't last though if what they experience once they get here doesn't feel inclusive. So I would say that that's on each and every one of us. And we are also hiring a diversity and inclusion manager here at the company for internal programs too. But just remember that how we treat each other also affects how people react, if they will stay and if they will refer their friends. And there's little things that each of us can do and look out for to make sure that everyone's voice is being equally represented, regardless of their background, their gender, et cetera. And that we are speaking up when we see that not being the case, that we're helping to inform and teach each other when someone does make a mistake so that they can become an advocate going forward to make it a better experience for everybody else. So please know that every single person here at GitLab owns making sure people feel included, and inclusion is a really, really important part of diversity.
Okay, we probably have time for one more quick question. We're at 23 minutes past.
I want to thank you for trying out the new format, Carol. And I think it's great. I think two things that I made a change to the handbook for the people participating in this call. It doesn't just have to be questions. You can also ask people to present a slide or to thank him and recognize people. I think that's still missing from our conversations. So I hope that comes there, not through the presenter pushing it, but through audience participation asking for it.
Great.
But thanks so much for the new format. I think it's great. Some people ask for, can we do 2-minute presentations? Barbie, do you still remember how that went when we tried that in the board meeting? Yes, that's super hard.
Yeah.
People started to do a speed run of 2 minutes, go through all their slides.
I can talk really fast if you want to test me.
yeah, that's true. So,
Great.
thanks again, Carol.
Okay, thanks all. Bye.